All right, so Maptime is all about making web maps. But before we really get into the meat of what we do, we want to tell you a little bit about why we do it and how we got there. So Sam and I both studied geography as undergrads, and we worked in a room like this, in this kind of setting. And we were trained on proprietary desktop GIS. And although we aren't currently working as GIS analysts or directly touching GIS every day, we still love geography, and we like to apply geo approaches to whatever project that we're working on.
Yeah, so, that's really loud. So why Maptime? Why do we want to continue our education beyond the classroom? Why have Andrew and I put our efforts towards bringing Maptime to Seattle? I think it's really important for everybody to recognize that when students leave school, you lose your license to ArcGIS, and that instantly puts you out of an entire suite of tools to use for all of the stuff that you learned to do. And secondly, when we get up here, you also lose your audience. You lose your intention. You don't necessarily have professors or peers to hand your static maps over. So you really have to figure out who you're doing all of this work for. If you don't have a job for it necessarily. So that really brings us to the web. And that's where Andrew and I work a lot these days. And the web involves interactive maps, which are really sweet, but we don't really know where to start coming out of school, or at least our programs didn't really teach us that.
So really, what we figured out pretty early on after graduating is that we needed to learn new tools. And fortunately, there are a lot of really powerful, free, open source tools out there to continue this map journey. But starting with those tools is often pretty challenging, and the burden of entry feels really high. So having a group or community that you can lean on as you're doing that is really why we do Maptime, which is an event, a tutorial-based event where you learn hands-on skills with these open tools.
Where's this thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so this room itself is why Maptime exists, because there are people willing to go beyond what's expected of them to learn more. So that's kind of why we brought Maptime to Seattle. So when you come to Maptime, our second tutorial, or our second meeting will be in a couple weeks, we have a set of core values. The first is no map left behind. That means that every person is going to leave that room having learned the same thing as everybody else, and you will not be wondering if you could have done better, because you have done it entirely. All of our meetings are free. They're entirely volunteer-based. No one's making any money off of all this. And we are going to be teaching using a lot of open source tools. So those tools are free themselves, and you can continue using them beyond these tutorials. The most important tool is yourself, of course, your willingness to learn, your intensity at which you approach problems and try to solve them. But combine a bunch of people who are doing the same thing and trying to solve those problems. You have a community and an intensely populated repository of information that Maptime presents to you. So it's a lot of people who have found themselves in similar situations and problems and are willing to help others as they find them themselves.
So the big question that you're probably asking yourself right now is how you can get involved. And we're here to tell you. Maptime Seattle is, as we said, like a tutorial-based event that we host once a month. And we also are involved in something called CUGOS, Cascadia Users of Geospatial Open Source. That's also a great community for finding support and getting new ideas and new approaches to spatial problems. And the great news is that the CUGOS monthly meeting is actually tonight at Anderson Hall here at UW. So if you've never been, this is a great opportunity to get involved and rub shoulders with some geo people. That's it. Thank you.